we can get more on this now and bring in Palestinian affairs analyst Osama Nazzal, who joins us from Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Osama, thanks very much indeed for your time. Plenty to discuss. Let's start with diplomatic efforts that seem to be taking place in a number of places across the Middle East. Your assessment of what we can expect from those talks.
Really, we hope that there will be an end to this Israeli genocide against Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. But the window of hope is very narrow, really, as the intransigence of the Israeli occupation government is very clear, as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated many times that he is not going to stop the war on Gaza before he carries out the fully-fledged invasion into the city of Rafah and ending the mission. And by ending the mission, he means ending the possibility of the existence of the Gaza Strip once again. And if some of the War Council members try to be a little bit lenient, then there is the problem of the extremist members of the current Israeli government, like Smotrich and Ben Gvir. And we heard the threats that they delivered yesterday and today morning, that if there is any sign of stopping the war on Gaza, then they are going to withdraw from the government and Netanyahu's coalition would come to an end. So the situation is not easy, and of course their threat is not a justification for or excuse for Netanyahu's continuation of the war on Gaza, but this is the policy and this is the plan that Netanyahu put since day one of this war. So I don't have much hope that things are going to get better, because without full stoppage of the war and of the killing of the people in Gaza, I think this would be considered a temporary solution, not the permanent solution that must be in place.
Osama, we're seeing pictures live now from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, where US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting a number of Arab leaders. We're told that, of course, ceasefire negotiations and humanitarian aid are top of the agenda, but we also understand that Blinken wants to discuss reconstruction plans post-war in Gaza. What should be the main considerations?
I don't know how the American administration and the Blinken in person accepts to discuss the reconstruction plan, while doesn't take a decision to pressure the Israeli occupation government to cease fire and stop the genocide against the Palestinians. Before the reconstruction, we have to prevent the continuing destruction of the lives of the people of Gaza if the United States administration is really serious about that. But the last American $61 billion aid in military aid to the Israeli occupation government shows that the Americans are going ahead with their full support to the Israeli occupation government. And what they are looking for is temporary solutions that won't last long. And this what the Palestinian people, of course, reject, because what is demanded is full stoppage of the killing of the Palestinian children and the Palestinian women, withdrawal of the Israeli occupation forces from Gaza, and return of the Palestinian families to their homes and their houses, as this is one of their human basic rights. So not much hope, really, especially we heard thousands of statements from the American Secretary of State and from the American President Biden, but all that was like much cry, little wool. What we see, more blood on the road. Just today morning, Israel killed the 28 Palestinians, 17 members of one family in Rafah, which was expected to be a safe Palestinian place for the displaced Palestinians.
Well, let's turn to the plight of Palestinians on a humanitarian front. International partners have been urging Israel for some time now to increase those deliveries of aid via land through those road crossings. That has not happened, and yet we are seeing a glimmer of hope. There's a jetty, a pier, a temporary pier being built by US military forces. Now that clearly will be part of the solution, but not the whole solution. But the fact that the US is building that and those road crossings have not been opened, is that an admission of failure of the US and other allies to put enough pressure on Israel to make sure that they are opened?
And this takes me back to your first question. If the United States doesn't have the ability or the intention, really, not the ability, the intention to pressure Israel to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza through the land crossings, how can it pressure Israel to stop the war against Gaza? This is a big question mark. Concerning the humanitarian aid, we need to understand that the Palestinians in the occupied land, whether Gaza or the West Bank, are not waiting for the international pity. This is not what we are about as Palestinians. The Palestinians are in need for respect, and respect starts with providing the necessary needs for a human life, and this is what the Israeli occupation government is preventing. And the jetty, as you named it, is not really the solution. The ultimate solution of this problem and this crisis is opening all the crossings into the Gaza Strip, stopping the war, and starting serious talks now in order to prepare for the end of the Israeli occupation of all the land occupied in 1967. But any other policy, any other plan, that would be just temporary, and I think the darkness would continue to shroud our region.
And Osama, how much confidence finally do you take from the positive noises that we're hearing coming out of Egypt? We understand Hamas is suggesting it has no major issues with the latest Israeli proposals for a ceasefire.
Really, after 7 months of genocide, after killing over 34,000 Palestinians, injuring about 75,000 others, destroying 70% of Gaza, no schools, no hospitals, no facilities, no human life. After 7 months of this crisis, and still hearing only cries and statements, I don't count much hope on all that. And really, we feel sorry as Palestinians that the Arab League are meeting and discussing the same things that they discussed on the first war of the Israeli war, on the first day of the Israeli war on our people. What is demanded is clear, that the Gulf states must use the oil as a weapon to pressure the Western governments, to pressure Israel to stop its war and end its occupation. Otherwise, it is complicity, and it is just like giving the Palestinians a sedative pill to continue to live with the occupation, something that all the people of Palestine reject and resist.
Osama, thank you very much indeed for your time. Appreciate you coming on the News Hour to give us your analysis.